Hi everyone, this is one of my masterclass tutorials from the Rascals Education Academy. If you would like to know more about the Academy, click the link in the description or the link in my bio. Thank you and enjoy. Lovely. So, with Johnny's hair today, we've just been talking and Johnny likes to wear his hair back. It's like a slick back look. The things he's not liking at the minute is the length that he's got running around the nape of his neck. So we're going to take that in a little bit tighter with the scissors. And he also thinks it feels a little bit heavy on the top. So the hair is like dropping too much. So after I've cut it, we're going to go back through and take some of the weight out as well. And we're going to be using cross graduation for this haircut. But he does like to keep it messy and just flowing back. Lovely. So we're just going to make sure that the whole head is soaking wet before we start taking our sections. I find it easier just to pull all the hair forward first, hair forward from the crown. I find that this is the easiest way for me to take my sections. Just like any other time that we're going to take a section, we're going to follow the shape of the head and where the head starts to round off. And you find this by placing the comb on the top of the head and just running along the comb. And we're going to repeat this on the other side of the head. And then we're going to gather all of this together on top. Nice and tight. Comb as much of it into the hand as I can. Give it a twist. And then we're going to keep that as a nice tight section on the top. So just to make our section pattern easier as we go through the sides, I'm going to take another section on the top, and this is a triangular section. We're going to take a triangle section from these 2 points here, where our sections are. What we're going to do is run the comb down the head until we reach the center. We're going to hold that section with our finger, and then we're going to take another section, running it all the way to that finger, to meet it in the middle. And that is our triangular section. Lovely. What we want to do is comb all of the hair in the direction of the sections that we're going to be taking, which are going to be diagonal. We want the hair to be nice and flat to the head. So this means when we're taking sections, we're not going to disturb any of the other hair, which means we're going to have nice, clean sections. And the way we ensure this is by keeping the hair nice and wet so that it sticks to the head. I'm going to take the first section from the temple to the ear, holding the rest of the hair down with the finger, comb the section out, scooping underneath. About that, Johnny?
Yeah, all good.
This section, we're going to go past the ear, follow it all the way down to the back of the neck. So as we get around the back of the head, just to make sure that we're keeping our sections the same, we're going to follow the shape of the head. So with sections on like this, following the shape of the head. Combing the hair down so that we'll have nice clean sections so the hair's sticking to the head. And with this section, we're just going to keep flowing around all the way to the other side of the head. We want to make sure that fingertips aren't going too tight towards the scalp. We want to bring it out to more of a square shape so that we're keeping that weight towards the top of the head. So now as we're starting to get towards the back of the head, where the occipital bone is, you need to be aware of the shape of the head. Like I said, with knuckles aren't going to be coming out like this. For a haircut like this, you need to make sure that you're following the shape of the head. This will keep it tighter towards the bottom. And we're just going to follow this section and pattern until we get to the middle of that triangle section that we've taken. Now we're just going to cross check it. Make sure there isn't any unwanted weight anywhere. And now we're going to repeat this on the other side. So our hands are going to be holding the hair the opposite way. So now instead of my fingertips being at the top, my knuckles are going to be at the top. So now I need to be conscious that my knuckles aren't going too close to Johnny's head. We need to be pulling these knuckles out so that we're keeping the weight towards the top of Johnny's head. So same again, we're going to make sure that the hair is combed down nice and flat. This is going to make it easier for us to take cleaner sections, running from the top of his head all the way down to the back of his neck. Following a guideline. If you can't see your guideline, you need to take a smaller section. So same again, because Johnny wants to keep it tighter towards the bottom of his neck, we're going to have our fingertips close up to his head. We're not over directing this way. We're following the shape of the head. So the reason that we use the tight side of the comb rather than the wide side of the comb is so that we get as much tension as possible in the hair. What we don't want is for our sections to be like this, or for some of it to be tight and some for it to be loose, because then we're going to have inconsistencies in the haircut. So what we want to have is the same tension throughout. As we go through the back of the head, what you'll notice is I don't comb down, I'm combing up. This is because I can go tighter towards the bottom rather than pulling down and creating graduation. We want to pull it up. This will keep it nice and tight towards the back of the neck. You'll find that the further we'll go around the head on this side, there's going to be less to cut, because as we were cutting this side, we were coming in to the back of the neck on this side. So this side will actually be quicker than cutting the other side. So now we're just going to cross check through the back. So what you will find with the back is that there'll be a little bit of a point in the middle. So it's up to you whether or not you want to keep that weight or whether you want to take it off. Personally, I like to take it off because I don't like it being too heavy towards the back. We're just going to nip this bit off there. And then we're just going to cross check through the sides. Don't have to spend a lot of time cross-checking. We just want to quickly go through and just make sure there isn't any inconsistencies in the cross-graduation. And then we just want to make sure that it's visually balanced as well. Everything's flowing properly and how we want it. Beautiful. Okay, now we're just going to work through this triangular section through the back. And with this section, we're going to pull every section back to the same point. Pulling that into the work that we've just done, into the cross graduation that we've just cut. And then we'll repeat that on this side as well. Right, now we're going to work through our profile section, which is from, normally the guideline that I like to take is from either side of the nose. And that'll give us a section that is about a finger's width. Section running from the front all the way at the back. With longer hair like this, you might want to put a clip just so you're not picking up any of that hair with your section. And I'm just going to go through it and just have a look at it and just see what the length is like at the moment, where the highest point of the head is, to just figure out exactly how much we're going to be taking off. So you can see it's quite long towards the front. So when we're cutting our guideline in, we're going to have a slight over direction. So we're creating a triangular shape on the top. And this is for the desired look of the client, so that there's a little bit more length towards the front. There's a slight over direction. We're going to take half of this section that we've just cut. Pull it into half of a new section so that we have a full section. Again, we're going to clip this out of the way. This time we've got a guideline to follow. You can run front to back, back to front, whatever you find most comfortable, as long as you're following your guideline. So depending on how thick the client's hair is, the right hand side you might do 3 sections, you might do 4 sections. It just totally depends on the thickness of the client's hair. So my last section, there wasn't a great deal of hair coming off, so we're just going to be pretty rough with this section. Don't really need to make it too clean or tidy because I don't think there's going to be anything coming off. But we're just double checking. Lovely. And now we're going to repeat this on the other side of his head. So before we were pulling into our guideline, this time we're going to be pushing into a guideline, but we're still making sure that the hair is going directly up. So there's no other direction. We're pulling up straight from the client's head. So we're going to take half of that section that we've just cut, move it out of the way, and keep the other half for the next section. So because we're starting to go into the roundness of the head now, there's going to be less and less coming off. And for the final section, again, we're just going to be pretty rough with it. Very little coming off. Once we've done this, we can cross-check the top. Again, I'm always pretty rough with cross-checking. Just going to fly through this. Nip in the ends, push that section out of the way, pull up another section. We don't want this to be too time consuming, we want it to be pretty quick. We're just double checking our sections to make sure that we've cut everything evenly. So what we're wanting to find here is that we've cut a square section, so coming straight up. We're not following the shape of the head so that it's like this. We want it to be a square shape on the top, so we're pulling straight up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the top into the sides. So Johnny likes to keep more weight towards the front, so there's a little bit of an overhang. So we're going to cut it so it's nice and tight towards the back, but then gradually leaving more length towards the front. So what we're going to do is just parting the hair down the middle, pull our section down, brush this out of the way. We're going to start at the back of our section, and what we're doing with this is we're not pulling this down, we're pulling this section straight out, and we're using the wide side of the comb so that we're not creating too much tension. So we're going to pull this out straight towards us, not going down, we're not up here, just pulling it straight out. Like I say, we don't want to have too much tension on the hair. And as we get closer at the front, we're gradually pulling the section down more and more. This is going to create more length towards the front of the haircut. So, and we're also, as we're pulling it down, we're also starting to over direct it a little bit as well. So this is going to keep as much length towards the front as possible. So now, using those techniques, we've made it tighter towards the back and it's heavier towards the front. Now all we're going to do is just get rid of this neck hair, following his natural hairline. Again, we're just going to follow this hairline. So we're just going to follow this line along here. You can see there's some longer hairs here that we don't need. Taking the neck hair off with a longer hairstyle is important so that we can see how the shape actually looks at the bottom when the neck hair isn't there, so that we can actually put the final external shape in before we finish the look. So now we're just going to clean up the hair at the back of the neck. I don't want to take off too much length because I actually like the way it's sitting at the minute. Just going to spray it down before we use our texture razor. So with the texture razor, if we go too tight with our strokes, it's just going to create a really harsh shape towards the bottom. So what you want to do is be quite soft and gentle as you brush through it, and this will give you a softer look. Make sure that you've got plenty of tension with the comb. We're just going to glide through that, not being too heavy. Just want to keep it nice and gentle. And with the texture razor, we're not trying to get a perfectly straight line. We want there to be bits that are longer and bits that are shorter. That's what's going to give us the rugged, textured look. We want it to be a little bit uneven. So Johnny was saying that it's a little bit heavy towards the front, so we want to take a little bit of weight out of it. So now we're going to section it down the middle. And then we're going to take diagonal sections through each side. So with our sections, we want to make sure that we've got plenty tension. And what we're going to do is, about 2/3 of the way down the hair, we're going to use our feathering razor, and we're just going to slide it down the hair. Same again with the second section. We're not going to try and do this all the way through, we're just going to pick even spots through the hair, and then we're going to repeat that on this side as well. You do have to be careful with this technique because it is quite easy to take off too much hair. So plenty tension holding the hair, but we want to be really light with the razor. The more tension we have on the hair, the easier it'll be with the razor. So Johnny likes to have a little bit of a wet look with his hair. So we're just going to keep it wet, and then we're going to apply some product in the hair when the hair is wet, and then we're going to diffuse it. So we're going to use a little bit of the Rascals clay. Johnny's got pretty thick hair, so we're going to use a nice big chunk of it. This also means his hair is not going to move too much. And we're going to focus on working this through the hair evenly before we start to dry it. So we're not too worried about making it look pretty just yet. We just want to work the product all the way through his hair, getting right in at the roots, all the way through the hair. Don't worry about just getting your hands in there. You're not hurting him, he's all right. A little bit of wobble in the head. But it's the best way to work the product all the way through the hair. Because it's like a product that you would typically use in your hair when your hair's dry. Yeah. But when you put it in the hair wet, mate, honestly, it's sick. It's good, like, when you get some. So I'm not going to dry it completely. I'm going to dry it about 60–70%. Because if you over dry a look like this, it's going to go a little bit frizzy, whereas you're much better off letting it dry naturally. So as long as your client's happy with them leaving with slightly damp hair, then I would suggest leaving it damp. So with Johnny today, he wanted to take more weight out the back so it wasn't flicking out as much, so we've reduced that weight a lot. He liked the length on the top, he liked it how it was longer at the front and shorter towards the back, but there was just a little bit too much weight in the front, so we went through with the texture razor and took that weight out. He likes having it slick back, so we've put in some clay when the hair is wet, left it slightly damp, but still diffused it about 60–70%. That's going to keep the volume to a minimum and the frizz to a minimum as well. So yeah, looks fantastic. How would you like it, Johnny?
Very happy, mate. Very happy.
Happy days.
As always.
Lovely. All right, see you on the next one.